महामारी तो बाद विद्यार्थियों के मनां दे विच कैनेडा ते आस्ट्रेलिया जाण नूं लै के एक दुविधा जी बनी हुई है। हर कोई अपना देश छड्ड के सुनहरे भविख ते एक शांत चंगे एनवायरनमेंट दे लई विदेश जाण बारे सोचदा है। पर अपने भविख दा फैसला लैण तो पहलां इह समझण दी लोड़ है कि हालात किसी भी देश दे होण ओह कदे भी बदल सकदे ने अते कुदरत दे कहर तो कोई भी नहीं बच सकदा। हुण जो खबरां सामने आ रहीआं ने तां इंज लगदा है कि कैनेडा होवे या आस्ट्रेलिया सब जगह इक्को हालात ने। एक पासे तां कैनेडा हरिकेन फियोना तो मची तबाही तो उभरन दी कोशिशां कर रहा है तां दूजे पासे हुण आस्ट्रेलिया दे हालात विगड़ रहे ने। आस्ट्रेलिया च शुक्रवार नूं आए हड़ कारण सैकड़े घर तबाह हो गए। दस्सिया जा रहा है कि विक्टोरिया च 500 घर पानी च डुब गए ने, जदों कि 500 तो वध जायदादां हड़ दी चपेट च आ गईआं ने। दस्सिया जा रहा है कि आस्ट्रेलिया विच आया यह हड़ दहाकिਆਂ विच सब तो भयानक हड़ दीआं घटनावां विचों एक है। इस दौरान आस्ट्रेलिया के प्रधानमंत्री एंथनी ने मेलबोर्न और विक्टोरिया के हड़ प्रभावित हिस्सों का दौरा किया। तुहानूं दस दें कि आस्ट्रेलिया के 3 दक्षिण पूर्वी स्टेट्स दे विच भारी मींह तो बाद हड़ संकट नाल जूझ रहे ने। विक्टोरिया सूबे नूं हड़ दा सब तो वध नुकसान होया है, जबकि मेलबोर्न के कुछ इलाकिਆਂ नूं खाली करन दे हुक्म दे दिते गए ने। विक्टोरिया दक्षिणी न्यू साउथ वेल्स और तस्मानिया के उत्तरी खेतरां लई हड़ की चेतावनी जारी की गई है। आस्ट्रेलिया सरकार ने भी 3 स्टेट्स दे विच भारी मींह कारण खेतरी लोकां नूं सुरक्षित इलाकिਆਂ विच जाण दे आदेश दे दिते ने। विक्टोरिया स्टेट दे विच हड़ सब तो ज्यादा प्रभावित होया। दस्सिया जा रहा है कि कुछ इलाकिਆਂ च 24 घंटिਆਂ ਦੀ बारिश कारण अचानक हड़ दा पानी वध गया। भारी मींह दा पानी कई घरां विच वड़ गया। देश दे विच भारी मींह कारण आए हड़ कारण हुण तक 20 तो वध लोकां दे मारे जाण दी पुष्टि हो चुकी है ते इह गिणती वधदी दिखाई दे रही है।
Last night showed that the situation continues to evolve in places like Shepparton and Echuca, Charlton and Kerrang, where flood levels continue to rise, where communities are at real risk. We're doing everything we can to support them. The most important thing off the top, I can again repeat, please follow the advice that's provided to you. Please be aware of the circumstances that you confront. Obviously people are doing an amazing job looking out for each other. There's so many volunteers and other career staff on the ground doing everything they possibly can to support those that are at immediate risk. But now for some communities, not all, but for some communities we can move into that recovery and clean up phase. I've got a number of important announcements today about additional support that I want to make, and then as I said we'll go to Tim and he can give you the most contemporary picture of where waters are at, people that are out of their homes, risks and challenges over this next 24-hour period, and indeed a bit of a look back on what occurred last night. In terms of roads, first and foremost, the immediate concern is to repair those roads so that people can start moving around to support emergency services and freight, and to allow people to get back into community and where they need to be. We've already got crews out doing repair work right across the state, and we've bolstered their efforts and our overall efforts by $165 million. I can announce today $165 million in emergency road repair blitz funding has been provided. That'll help us to find and fix those potholes, asphalting and repairing road surfaces that have been damaged by this flood event, and to make those hardest hit roads safe for travel again. The package will also cover larger works like completely rebuilding roads and bridges, particularly in the Western Hume, Loddon and the Loddon Mallee regions, which have been worst affected. There will need to be more funding beyond that. This is an initial amount of money, and it'll underpin those emergency repairs. It's important to note that just over the last few days, hundreds of crews have already completed more than 500 individual inspections of larger damaged sites. They've found and fixed, this is quite an amazing effort, some 10,000 potholes caused by the rain event, and they've attended more than 20 landslips right across the state. This funding, this $165 million in additional funding, is urgent. It's there now. Those teams are doing that work, and they'll continue to make those emergency repairs so we can get more and more roads open, more and more people, whether they be freight, fodder, emergency services or local residents, back to where they need to be. Obviously this event is still unfolding, and there is obviously the direct response to to those unfolding events, but we can, in some parts of the state, move to a clean-up phase. That's why I'm also pleased to be able to announce $150 million in additional funding for a coordinated clean-up effort in those areas that are hardest hit, and particularly where waters are falling, and we can follow that water and support each and every one of those communities, noting that won't be everybody right now because some waters have not reached their peak in some communities. In terms of the lead contractor for those arrangements, Johns Ling, who have experience in fire cleanup and flood and storm cleanup both here and in New South Wales, have been appointed as the lead contractor. They'll be out there to deal with hazards and debris that's been moved throughout roads and streets and local properties, and they'll also work to collect rubbish that is now and other items that have been taken out of properties and put onto nature strips. They're expert at this, they know what they're doing, they'll be there, and people who want to register for that clean-up service can call 1800 560 760, and then that means they're part of that clean-up effort, and that's a lead contract arrangement. There'll be other subcontractors who work with them, but they know what they're doing. They can do it safely. It will take some time, but registering is an important first step to get that done. We've also spoken about immediate financial assistance to support Victorians who've been forced to evacuate, with the basics like shelter, food, clothing, medicine, things of that nature. But as we move into that recovery phase, then there is more that needs to be done. We'll also invest, I can announce today, some $21 million, a package of critical casework support. So this is about helping families with things like housing, health, wellbeing, financial and legal counselling, assessing grants and advice for business owners whose livelihoods have of course been affected by this event. We're also putting community recovery officers into those flood affected communities to help people with whatever they need. It can be quite challenging to navigate your way through all the different programs of support and assistance. Those community recovery officers will help people navigate through all of their issues and their needs and connect them to the best service response, grants, other assistance that is there for them. Finally, we're supporting Victorians whose homes have been profoundly damaged but who aren't insured with Emergency Re-establishment Assistance Fund grants. The fund provides up to $42,250 for uninsured properties. That helps to pay for clean-up, repairs, rebuilding and replacement of some essential household contents that have been lost. All of these payments that we've been talking about in recent days can be accessed at the following website: emergencypayments.dffh.vic.gov.au, and for those without access to the internet, you can call 1800 226 226. Now, we continue to work closely with the federal government, and we're very grateful for their partnership in providing support and assistance to so many who have been impacted. I just want to remind people that, as the Prime Minister touched on yesterday, the Commonwealth has both its disaster recovery allowance and disaster recovery payments as well for Victorians in affected local government areas. There's an initial group of councils that have been nominated. That will be added to today, tomorrow. That will continue to grow. Any information that anyone might need from that, in relation to that, the my.gov.au is the place to go to receive all the information that you might need there. In terms of flood updates, Tim will take us through that in more detail. But we've got 13 relief centres that are open, providing food and shelter and comfort to people who are displaced from their homes. We've got 11 aircraft up in the air today, making damage assessments as well as doing that important rescue work. We have literally thousands of volunteers and career staff from our broader emergency services family, and they're all doing an amazing job. They're the best of us, and we're so grateful for the work that they're doing. And then, of course, there are many others without a uniform who are just pitching in, helping neighbours, friends and family. That sense of connection, that sense of regional communities sticking together, it's something that they should be proud of, and we're certainly very proud of them at this, the most difficult of times. Just a couple of other headline numbers on roads. We've still got 359 roads closed today. That number changes hourly. We'll try and keep you across that as best we can. There are around 1,860 properties around the Marupna area that are still without power, and teams are working as hard as they can to re-energise that substation and get the power back on to Marupna families and businesses. On emergency payments, those immediate emergency payments of around $2,000 per family that I've been speaking about for these last few days, we've now received 11,061 important applications to date. I think around 3,000 of those have already been paid out. We've got extra teams, call centres from across government working to do that. We'll get those paid out as quickly as we possibly can. But in some respects, that number serves as a proxy, because we're still doing assessments about flood damage in individual properties. But the fact that more than 11,000 people have applied, that gives you a sense of exactly how many people are out of their home, whether it be because they would have been isolated if they stayed, or have been flooded out, or have followed advice from emergency services to evacuate for their safety, as well as for the safety of emergency services who might then have to come to their aid. This is a very significant event affecting many tens of thousands of people.
Bureau Report, Channel Punjabi.
ਸਾਡਾ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇਖਣ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨ ਲਈ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਚੈਨਲ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੇ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਬਟਨ ਤੇ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰੋ।